everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lacey Lyne, and I am an advertising solutions representative here at Nex-Tech. And I am joined today by Andrea Keesee, who happens to be one of the amazing people in our marketing department. She is a graphic designer, and she is joining me today definitely as the expert, as we're going to do a little discussion on branding and brand strategy. So we are going to jump in. I know, Andrea, we've talked a lot about how, logos are so important, kind of the identity and the brand that businesses, small businesses, really businesses of any size put out there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, right? Okay.
Yes. And first thing we're going to start with is, what does brand actually mean? And most people, they just think of it as being their name, because that's the name of their business, or the image that they may use, or whatever. But actually, brand encompasses so much more than that. And the definition of it is, brand is the manner, place, and time in which an organization is seen. It is everything about the company, everything visual and visceral. So it's the look and feel of a company to the outside world and other people.
Okay.
Is your logo important? Yes. That answer is 100% yes. I don't know if you can see what we have here, but I have several examples of logos that have really tested time. And people's branding kind of evolves.
Right.
And we're going to talk a lot about that and how Nex-Tech Advertising Solutions fits into that.
Businesses really become known for their logos and their branding, and not just their services, right?
Right.
Okay.
A brand is super important. You think about Amazon and all of that it encompasses. Apple, all that encompasses. There's so much more to a brand than just an image or a logo. It is the company's vision. There's just so much. And we're going to get into that today, step by step, kind of just talk people through it.
Okay.
But it's so important. In your history, thinking about you as a business owner and how your past, where you have been, and how that plays into where you are right now, and then having that vision for the future and making sure that your brand is set up to go into the future, especially with digital advertising.
Right.
And you look on here and you think of all the different things that a brand can do for you. Your brand improves your recognition. The more that you use it and the more consistent it looks everywhere it is, the better people are going to know who you are and what you're about. Branding also creates trust. And what I mean by that is, where a company's culture and how you present yourself and where you put your brand, it really does equate trust. You think of Bayer, right, and that logo and how it has evolved over. I mean, it is very old. It is, I looked at some of when I was researching and, looking to do this with you, I looked at how some of these logos started and how they looked and how they have evolved and how old some of these companies are. And, even here in Kansas and the surrounding states, we have businesses right here at home that have been around a really long time. You never want to get rid of your history. Your history is always part of you, but you also need to think of your vision and evolving into the future. Your branding supports all of your advertising. If you have a great strategy to support your brand, your advertising is going to make a brand impact. You are going to get more bang for your advertising bucks because you have put all of this thought into it. Branding builds financial value. Something that, you have a business plan and you're working, and if you want to expand your business and people see that your brand is very established, that it has a lot of equitability about it, banks, financial institutions, grant people, they look at you in a whole different way if you have that wonderful foundation of branding underneath you. It is part of, it's part of every marketing plan. When you want to get more money for your business, expand your business, most times they want to know what your marketing plan and what you're doing, how you're getting your name out there. So it really does add financial value. Branding inspires employees. You look at some really great companies out there that have an amazing culture, like Google, oh gosh, there's just so many to name, but Google is one of them that just always hops right in my head because they have a great company culture, and their brand is all a part of that. That is part of their strategy, and so that just really helps your employees. They get on board with you. Once they all see the common vision, everyone is working toward a common goal, and they're behind your brand, and they want to sell your brand. Every person, every employee in a business is truly a salesperson. So that also, it does inspire employees. And last,
I was going to, if I jump in here, I see that you have, it generates new customers, and I think that's a huge piece because, one of the things that I think we always try and communicate to our customers is about trying to make sure that the marketing pieces and the advertising that we do are all consistent and they come together. Yes. And that plays a huge part in generating new customers and that branding piece, right?
And yes, and so many times people only think of their branding as in generating new leads and new customers. Right. But truly it encompasses all of this. And when you hear, when we hear, or we have clients come to us when you sell some advertising solutions, we really want to hear their story and what their brand represents. When they'll send us logos, and we'll talk through a lot of the interview that you do with them, and we really try to get a feel and understanding of why they are that brand. It's so important. The who, what, when, where, why of every business is essential so that we can help our clients develop that vision for the future, especially with digital advertising.
Awesome.
So strong brand identity. You think of, I want to talk about some, and I'm going to show some examples today of some evolving brands. And all of these are very recognizable. It's not just for large companies. Like I said, we have so many great businesses here locally and in the surrounding area that have great stories, and they have great brands. They're very recognizable, and so it's really important to communicate with a client that when we do get clients and they bring us their logo, that they may need to do a little tweaking and changing. So this is a fun one. This is Ford Motor Company, and it started in 1903, and that's what it, and now you look at, this is just 2003, and you look at the blue logo, but it is just kind of astonishing. The next one I want to show is Google, and of course they're a younger company.
Right.
But still, how they evolve. And something that is part of Google's culture that I think is really cool is they allow people to design their Google logo on their search engine page. And so different entities can tweak their logo per se, but they just require that it has to be, they just have these certain parameters that you have to play within. But it is really cool. People sometimes,
super fun.
Yeah, they just go to their search page just to see what they've done with it lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course then Apple. I had not realized, I don't know if you can see that really well, but the Apple logo that started in 1978-79
isn't even an apple.
The apple is an itty bitty teeny tiny little.
The tree.
It's in the tree, clear up here. And so then it went to the apple with the name Apple, and now you just know when you see the apple with the bite out of it. And Nike, very similar, 1971 to current Nike swoosh. And last was Pepsi. Coca-Cola is very similar. They have a similar evolution, but you look at this company is over 100 years old, and they originally started with the red, then they integrated the blue in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And still, you see their color and how it evolved. I was thinking back, back in 1898, you think of what they used it on,
right?
And how they printed for the bottles, or what were they using the logo in
back then.
And how it was being reproduced to what we have now. Definitely, that kind of sets us up for the next phase and what we need to talk about. And we're going to talk a little bit about a brand style guide, evolving your logo and your branding for the 21st century. And working at Nex-Tech, our logo has evolved. We talked about this not very long ago of how it started, the first designer and what they had, and what Nex-Tech's logo looks like now compared to then. It has changed slightly. There are things that we did subliminally, some of it, and we did it over time where you didn't really notice or see it happen, but it definitely is slightly different than what it originally started as. So think of that too when you come to us and you say, oh, I just need a whole new logo. Well, sometimes that's not necessarily true. You want to own where you've been and then hopefully allow us to keep telling your story in a slightly new way.
Right.
What I want to talk about now is a style guide a little bit. We're going to kind of go into that. Do you know what a style guide is? Many people don't. Most marketing departments don't feel like they're essential, but we really do feel like every client of ours really will be better for it. They will feel empowered to send and use their logo in different ways, and it gives them kind of the legal aspects to share their logo within their organization and send it out to other entities that are going to use their logo and that they use it properly. And that also includes having multiple versions of your brand in multiple formats.
Right.
So that
because we know all formats are not the same.
No, they are not all created equal.
That is right.
They're not.
They're not.
And so how many times do you sell a contract and you end up emailing us a logo?
And you come direct to me and say, does the customer have this in a better format because this is why?
Yeah,
yes.
They saved it off their website or it's so important, and that they know where they are and they know what they're to be used for, and that's something that I feel like really want to provide to our clients. Is we want to make sure that they know here are these logo types or logo file types, and this is what those need to be used for, whether it's digital advertising and they're going to use it on the web and on different online options, or even video is slightly different. If you're going to if you are going to do YouTube videos, you have a YouTube channel or Vimeo, and you want to be able to put that logo out there on other items, then those have a certain format. And then of course there's print, and that has a whole nother, and billboards, totally different still. There are just so many different things that now today, that's why I was talking about Pepsi. You think about how are they using that logo 100 years or 100 plus years ago versus now.
Right.
We have so many more options, and we want to make sure you have the right tools in your toolbox to be able to send out to those different entities that are going to be putting your brand out there for you. The brand strategy guide will help you. It ensures that everyone's following the same rules.
Okay.
So when you have this guide, it kind of lists out all your different formats. Here is how we want them to be used. Here is how we want it to appear on top of a photograph or in line with different text, etc. And another thing too that is part of this is doing some copyright research, making sure that there's no other competitors that are doing similar things and that your brand is truly unique, not just to you and your area, but to a larger area. Because let's face it, so many of our customers aren't just selling right here, they're selling possibly all over the United States or even internationally.
Right.
So you need to know your copyright area, and that's a whole nother portion of it, but it's really important.
I can tell for sure.
Yeah. Protecting your logo, like I said, making sure that your brand identity is unique to you, unique to your industry, and getting that copyright information is truly important. Something that I wanted to talk about too is it allows you to have some leeway or leverage if someone infringes on what you are doing.
Right, because I think probably more than anything that we need to communicate and to our customers, and that we want to communicate to you guys, is that when we talk about doing logo design or branding, it can get a little intensive, to be honest, because the reality of it is that we don't want to just randomly slap something on a print or on digital marketing. We want it to really reflect you and be a representation of you. And doing the copyright definitely makes that. If you've gone through all of these steps to create this thing, these pieces of branding that really represent you, you want to protect them. You're not going to go buy a brand new car and not put insurance on it, right?
Exactly.
If you are, you're crazy. But the idea of it is that if you spend all this time, this energy into creating this brand and these logos and all of these different formats, copywriting allows you to have control over it, who uses it, how they use it. And that kind of, highlights the infringement part, like, when someone tries to take, credit for what is yours, right?
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it is so important of this process because you do want to be unique and you do want to be different than anyone else. And it's I think your due diligence to make sure all of those things are in order.
I would totally agree, because it is one of those things that you definitely don't want to spend time doing all of these things and then not do that copyright and then have someone have the ability to accidentally take over your brand.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely don't want that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so something as part of your brand strategy document and as part of developing and helping you develop your brand is coming up with versions of your logo that are appropriate for different types of media. We've already talked about that, but I just want to kind of show you on this one. We had the client come to us. Their logo was already developed and it was really beautiful. It was a full CMYK logo.
Which means a full color logo.
Right, full color,
Okay.
and it's
Sure.
processed for print.
Okay.
So really, CMYK is processed for print.
Okay.
And it was lovely, but it didn't really translate well to all areas. So it really looked great in print, but when we wanted to use it in different areas,
On a digital
it
format?
failed. Yes, especially
Okay.
digital format, over the top of photographs. It looked really good on letterhead and stationery, but beyond that, we really struggled. And so we wanted to help the customer take them to that next level. So what we did is we created some logos that were very similar, but they were very non-complex. One color, black on white, white on black, and really just kind of translated that beautiful logo into something very simple that they could use across multiple platforms. Right. And it really helped them. So you can see here, it's black and white or single. We used their same typography. We did not change that. But what we told them is, if you're going to use this typography and you get under a certain size, you need to probably let it go and just keep the name of your brand, because those letters don't translate when they get under a certain point size, and
Right.
you won't be able to even read them. They just look muddy, mushy. And so these are things that, as designers and as good stewards of helping you, our clients, do better and tell your story better, we created those, and really this helped so much. And not only that, colors, helping the client translate those colors that were in this beautiful logo into individual single colors that would really pop on a web page or digital advertising, Snapchat, sorry, Snapchat, and Facebook and
Instagram and all of those things.
all of those places, really helping and equipping them and making them really more powerful than what they had before.
Awesome.
So that's really important. And
Yeah.
When you have your logo and you're already using it, or you want to come to us, it's really wonderful if we can come up with that list of how you're going to be using it in print, billboards, like I said, textile, shirts. How is this going to embroider or print on a shirt? And like I said, YouTube, Vimeo channels, or vinyl wraps. If you have this beautiful CMYK logo and the colors aren't really bright or popping, they're nice and subdued and muted, those may fade faster. So coming up with single color vinyl options for the client is really a great idea too. And then the last thing, we briefly talked about distributing assets.
Right.
Making sure you have all the right formats. And then understanding how to get those to your clients or to the people who are going to be doing the advertising for you.
Right.
And owning those. Those are yours. Having the blueprint to be able to accompany that, to make sure, hey, this is the way we want our logo used. And here's our do's and don'ts, and really owning that as a business owner. It's very important. That way you know when you send it to a sign company and you know it's going to be among a whole bunch of other logos on a sign, that you know you will be well represented.
Exactly. You know, I wanted to go back for just a minute, because when we talked about how I go out and I see a customer and I sell some type of advertising, and then I send you guys the file of the logos or, you know, whatever supporting documents we need, and then you come back to me and you say, oh, I need, you know, does the customer have this in a different file? You know, although there are times and I'm just like, really, guys? You know, at the end of the day, the great part about it is that we have a team of experts like Andrea who know what's going to look good in print, who know what's going to look good on a website. And when they come back to me and I come back to the customer, it's definitely worth the effort, because our team wants to make sure that your brand is represented well and that it looks great. You know, you have to remember, you know, probably one of the biggest things that I learned as a kid from my dad, who was a business owner, was, you know, he would say, you know, you got to get up and, you know, comb your hair and do all these things and, you know, take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, you're a representation of me and my business too. You know, and so you have to remember that there are so many pieces that go into that branding part.
Yes.
And making sure that we communicate it effectively is, you know, is important to us, and just one of the many things that we're able to bring to our customers.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of an overview of what a brand strategy document does.
Okay.
We take your story, we take our, you know, you interview the client, we
Right.
sit down with the client, we listen to the story, their story. It's a passionate story usually. They've been doing business and they want to do better and they want to get more clients. And so we listen to their story and we write a brief about our reflection on what they're trying to say. And then we incorporate that into colors and ways that we would use the logo. We give the client examples of what it should look like in media, in the different ways that we've created, and what the colors look like. And this type of document really, almost like clients have a sigh of relief, like, oh wow, yeah, this is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, there's a moment of like being proud and just feeling that sigh of relief, because you were able to communicate it to them and help them create that vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you have this, everything from that point forward that we work with the client on, it all falls back to this strategy, and they can say, here, and we can communicate back, well, does this stay, are these projects speaking to you the way that the strategy does?
Right.
And when it just gets everyone on the same page, everyone's passionate about the same vision that the business owner has, and we then, it's a team. We really are aggressive at making sure that we are doing exactly what the client needs. This document is very powerful, and it's something the client then can use on their end to communicate with other people and their internal people, making sure employees see it. And you know, we're not just eat, sleep, dreaming the client's logo and their brand, but
everybody else is too.
Everyone else is too. Their whole company is eating, and then it's just amazing how the vision comes together and people are excited, the company's excited, and sales, it's inevitable.
Yeah, we just kind of see that flow effect, because one thing after another goes to the next. Yeah, absolutely.
So color is important, like I said, but you know, very rarely do you completely upset the bucket and start completely from scratch. Usually there is some, now I don't even know as really having an original business yet that we have. There's no history. They just said, I'm going to start a business, I need your help, create it all from scratch. We really never had that, I don't think. So really there's always a history there. There's a reason for those colors, reason why you're doing what you're doing already. And so we just try to work through it and communicate that with them. type fonts. We could keep going on and on and on, but type for your business. A lot of times people already have something established, and so they may say, well, I don't want it to be too playful, or I don't want it to be, and once you communicate that with the client, you can come up with a whole group of typefaces. Weights, there's all kinds of things that you communicate with the client and make sure that you are both on the same page. And once those things are established and they're part of the branding strategy brand strategy document, then everyone's on the same page, and there's no question. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So.
And as far as once we get there, making sure that we stick to the plan and the brand that we've kind of helped evolve, make change subtly as your business kind of goes along. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I can't really think of anything else. I know that there were a ton of information and a lot of details that Andrea was able to provide for us this morning. The great part about this is that really the only thing that you need to know is that if it's overwhelming, if it's something that your brand has changed over the last couple years and you're looking to make those evolving steps, know that we have an amazing team like Andrea. She's one of our members, like I said. We have an amazing team that is here for your disposal. So just, reach out to us. I'm happy to come and talk to you and give you some additional information. Feel free to give me a call or shoot us an email. But with that, we are going to wrap it up today. Holler and let us know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful day.